So everybody's saying right now that Andy Ruiz got too fucking fat for this rematch. And to be honest, I think that's completely bullshit. Even his dad has thrown him under the bus.
Even his own self has thrown him under the bus.
It's crazy.
Andy hurdled himself in front of that bus.
And
Faster than a Chinese person trying to get an insurance check.
Faster than Andy Ruiz eating donuts with all the police officers in LA County. Anyway.
That's damn fast.
No, but actually, I think that from a tactical perspective, I think that being actually heavier than the first match would make sense if Anthony Joshua didn't box the way that he was boxing. And actually, I would say that probably in rounds 4, at least 3 times during the fight, Ruiz had Anthony in a really, really scary spot.
Yeah. So if you are a real boxing fan and really watch the first fight, real fans will know this. Andy Ruiz had no instances where foot speed led to him being able to put hands on Anthony Joshua until after Anthony Joshua was already concussed or buzzed very recently.
Yeah.
He never touched Anthony Joshua until Anthony Joshua hit him with the hard right, then stepped in to Andy's hooking range to try to exchange with him at close range.
Yeah.
Andy Ruiz did not get to hit AJ via his foot speed, so to him it makes sense for him to invest in heavier weight and more punching power.
Right, because it'll increase the durability of his chin, which it did, because he was
taking shots that I don't think any other heavyweight would have stayed up from AJ.
Absolutely.
And it just increases his punching power.
Yeah.
And that's what he was really banking on. In the first fight, AJ came to Andy. The first fight was not a narrative of Andy cutting off the cage and bull rushing into AJ, which is what people have been trying to make it. That only ever happened a couple of times, and it was when in the same round, Andy had already hurt AJ. Those are the only times he was able to implement his will, dictate where the fight was taking place, and show ring generalship.
And even in the second match, like we said before, there was some real moments in that fight. Like, it wasn't just like a complete wash. Whenever Andy did connect with AJ, man, my butt was puckering like fucking crazy.
And when Andy did connect with AJ in the second fight, each of those instances, Joshua had come to Andy.
Yes.
He had abandoned the game plan that they had, which was to stay on the outside, and he had stepped in to exchange in close range with Andy Ruiz. And if Andy had been able to buzz Joshua like he had in the first fight, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Everyone would be saying what a tactical genius he was to put on the extra weight, to have the extra punching power to knock out Anthony Joshua. The man gambled. The man's gamble did not pay off.
Yes.
But it is not a simple narrative of a fighter just having too much fame, having too much spotlight, getting too fat. I think there's other things with his psyche that you have to take into consideration, but Andy Ruiz did not fight differently this fight than he fought the first fight.
Well, okay, so to that, I will say that there's probably a well-rounded argument to be made in the fact that, like, Andy was fighting slightly different. And I don't know for sure if it was because of the weight. Andy's father said that Andy was saying that in the round that his hands, he felt tired. He felt more tired, and because he was not throwing the amount of volume that he was throwing during the first fight.
I would argue he wasn't throwing the volume in the first fight because Anthony Joshua was staying on his bike and punching him from halfway across the ring.
That's true.
It's much more tired to get punched in the fucking face.
Over and over again.
Over again.
Over a 12-man
And you know, mentally, what's more tiring? To be getting punched and not really have as many moments, or to be getting punched and to be knocking down a man repeatedly?
That's true.
Andy Ruiz is going to say that he messed up his preparation for this fight. Everybody's going to say. Of course he felt worse. He wasn't having nearly as much success. Him feeling that way is him trying to explain it to himself why he wasn't able to be successful. And the man's trying to sell a third match.
That's true.
The man wants to make that beautiful 30 million, 60 million, whatever purse, right?
Yeah.
Again.
And him chasing around AJ does not set that third up fight very well.
He won't believe it. That's the big thing people aren't realizing. Andy Ruiz saying it doesn't mean jack. I don't care what Andy says. Andy needs to convince himself that if he does something differently, he could win.
And maybe, because I do think that the fame slightly did get to him.
Oh,
because
100%.
I mean, like
100%
yeah.
it got to the man.
So I mean, we're not arguing that.
No,
whatsoever.
it just didn't change how the fight actually played out.
Right.
If he was lighter weight, he probably would have been knocked out, and he still wouldn't have been able to put hands on Joshua if Joshua had stayed on his bike.
But I wonder if he would have been hungrier if he didn't get that.
I don't know, man. I feel like Andy Ruiz, his hunger bar is always at 100%. That never decreases.
Hungry for success, hungry for drive. I wonder
think so.
if the drive would have been there for him to actually start committing more. Because I do feel like he started committing in the later rounds when...
I think that he should have... I think his best tactic would have maybe been to just stop chasing Joshua and start backing up. That's the only thing I could see possibly differentiating the situation here. If he had,
and he did that too late because in
Too
the
late.
last round he was like, come here, let's fight.
Like if he had messed with Joshua, Joshua's got an ego. What fighter doesn't?
Right.
If he had started that in round 6, or even when Joshua had started stepping in, the few times that Joshua abandoned the game plan, that's the change Andy made. If
Right.
Andy had said, okay, I'm going to stop chasing you, Joshua, now what you going to do, buddy?
Yeah.
Then Joshua has to step in and try to jab him. Boom. That's
Right.
that's how he does it.
Yeah.
It's not this narrative. Why didn't Andy Ruiz cut off the cage? Bitch, he was getting punched in the face, and Joshua was doing a fantastic job of circling, and Joshua is a much longer fighter.
Right.
Andy wasn't doing a bad job cutting off the cage. Joshua was doing a great job
Yes.
not being stuck off the cage. You can't just magically cage cut. And that drives me crazy. Like, that's I'm hot take number 1. Hit the cut off the cage.
Yeah.
You can't just say that. It's like saying, like, why didn't he just take him down? You can't just do that. You have to...
Yeah.
It's a battle, and Joshua was effectively not allowing himself to be cage cut.
Right.
That pisses me off. This whole thing's pissed me off so much.